Welcome to Buckets Bald Guy Energy Edition. My name is Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network, coming to you from the Tommy John home studios, and I'm joined by Brandon Kravitz. You can find him on Twitter and Action Network. And Brandon, remind me of your handle because I had it in front of me and then I lost it.
On Twitter, you can find me at Brandon Kravitz. In the app, I've switched things up. At BK Picks is how you can find me. But Matt, I thought we settled on Bald Guy Express. I thought we were on the same page here.
You're right. We did settle on that. Bald Guy Express, not Bald Guy Energy. I just had other B blank E things on my brain. So, all right, on today's show, we're going to do best bets for the last night in the association before the All-Star break. We'll give you picks. We'll give you breakdowns. We'll talk about all things in detail. Everything we talk about can be found in the award-winning Action Network app where you can track your picks. If you sign up for Pro, you can get all sorts of great stuff from Jim Turvey. You can get stuff from Sean Kerner. Sean Kerner, who is our director of analytics at Action Network, is predictive analytics, I think. He's like dove into NBA, and he's crushing as always and irritating me by being so good at what he does. He's just absolutely annihilating these props. So between him and Joe Delaire and all those other guys, you're going to want to go ahead and follow in the Action Network app. Get those picks, make your own analysis, make your own handicap, and see what these guys are betting because they're so damn good at it. We will break down all that stuff. No kind of futures talk tonight because we're at a messy point in the NBA season where all these games right now are just they're just messy. It's all everyone. I was joking tonight about the runway flu, which is you'll see a number of guys tonight and tomorrow night that are not available and then magically just aren't on the bench. That's weird. Wonder what he must be getting treatment. He's not getting treatment. He's on the plane. He's going to Cancun or he's flying to the Bay to get a head start on all the stuff that accompanies All-Stars for All-Star Weekend. They have so much stuff they do. They have community service. They do all sorts of largely unnecessary and circus-like media events, but they act like that's the big problem, and it's not. They have to do a bunch of sponsored events, too. Those guys make a lot of money at All-Star Weekend. So everybody gets a head start, so it's kind of the runway flu. But next week, I do want to let you know, programming note, full slate next week. We already got scheduled. You're getting 2 Brandon Anderson episodes with him catching up on the NBA season with Jim Turvey and Joe Delaire. We're going to do normal Future Jays on Monday, getting you set for that. And then we're going to do a special episode with me and Brian Fonseca. We're just going to do quick hits on all the futures bets that are available right now and what the best value is. So tune in for that. We will do best bets in the association right now. Brandon Kravitz, what are your best bets in the association for Thursday, February 13th?
Well, I agree with you. Things are awfully wonky this time of year, so I think you have to be careful, even more so than usual. Well, I like the Heat and the Mavericks under 222, and I will take the Rockets -1 against the Golden State Warriors.
Okay. I'm going to be on head-to-head. I'm taking the Warriors +1 versus the Houston Rockets. I am going to take the New Orleans Pelicans, God help me, +6.5 versus the Sacramento Kings. And I am going to play the Oklahoma City Thunder -6 versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. Let's see. Every team tomorrow is on a back-to-back, with most of them on a 3rd and 4 nights back-to-back. If you'll just indulge me for a second, Brandon, can I just...
Please.
Say real quick here, what the fuck are we doing, NBA? Football's over, right? Football's over and everybody's done. Okay, what's next? College basketball and NBA. Pitchers and catchers don't report for another couple weeks. We got time. There's time here before the MLB season starts. Great week to showcase your product. And the last night before All-Star Weekend, you have every team on the second night of a back-to... What are you doing? What are you doing? This stuff is so avoidable, and the league just cannot stop stepping on rakes constantly with the scheduling stuff. It drives me nuts. All right, let's talk about this Warriors and Rockets game now. Warriors in action tonight, but you like them to go ahead, or you like the Rockets here on the other side of it. Look, there's a very good chance that several of the Warriors players are missing. I am not going to sit here and say that I'm probably getting the best of the number. I will wait on Warriors until I know who's playing and then take them anyway. But what's your cap on why you like Houston tomorrow versus Golden State?
Well, you did touch on part of that. After 13 straight losses to the Golden State Warriors as a franchise, the Rockets finally broke through earlier this season. They won by 1 point in December. That game was also in Houston. This one is as well. And like you said, I would not be shocked if all the stars for the Warriors sat out of this game. You've got Jimmy Butler playing on the second night of a back-to-back. He just got with the team. Steph Curry is basically the grand marshal of the All-Star game. He's got bigger things to worry about. And Golden State is, both of these teams are on the second night of a back-to-back. Like you said, you could say that about anybody that's playing on this slate. The Rockets are the home team. They get to sleep in their own beds tonight. I like that aspect of it. And this just feels like a spot where I want to be on the young team that's excited that they're actually good this year, as opposed to the aging team that's just ready to host all-star festivities. And I know you'll love this one. On no rest, Golden State, 33% against the spread. So I will be on the Rocket side.
Okay. It's a good cap. I have a hard time just because I think Houston's in the bad place, and with where I've got this power rated, it's almost like a necessity that I play this because, I mean, not necessarily because like I have the Rockets as home dogs here based off of how they've kind of performed, and I understand like you're right on all of these things. I would advise like waiting until we get to tip off and then Steph's out or whoever, and then I would take Golden State anyway because I just think that Golden State's is in such a rough spot here that they're likely going to have an issue regardless. This season, the Rockets are actually 48% against the spread at home. The Warriors are 54%. Now, that's one of the things, and I was talking to Brandon Anderson about this, about how everyone in the betting space, I think, can do better with trends from the perspective of if there's kind of an old adage of like, well, I like to use it just to confirm what I'm thinking. Then why do you need it? If your handicap's good enough and you have a trend that confirms, it's confirmation by, oh no, it's better because of this trend. What about this other trend? No, I don't care about that. Like, look at a wide array of trends and then decide which ones are meaningful or more meaningful. And I do think that in this case, it's definitely a choose your own adventure because I think Kravitz is like, hey, the Warriors not been good on the second night of a back-to-back. That probably indicates something about how they're not probably very good without Steph Curry. And so
it's to that point, Houston's not very good on the second night of a back-to-back either. Their percentage is only a little bit better than what Golden State's is. To me, the whole reasoning, and maybe I'm peeling back the curtain a little bit too much here, but the only reason to me why it's even necessary to bring that up is because we have time to fill on shows like this. I would be on the Rockets. It's better to explain it as, hey, if I found that stat and it didn't back it up, I would just leave it out. I like the Rockets in this spot either way, but the fact that the Warriors are 33% against the spread on the second night of a back-to-back, it just sounds good.
It helps.
It just sounds good.
Yeah. No, I think
so that's part of it.
I think the rest spot stuff is actually really useful. Because to me, that's part of win profile. And I care very much. I care more than any human being alive about NBA win profile. Like, how do you win in different situations? Are you good versus bad teams? Are you good when you win things? When you face adversity, do you over exceed expectations? Or do you tend to struggle and fail in those kind of spots? Like, do you take it easy? And to me, it's indicative of like a Warriors team that's trying to manage the regular season. Like a good example of this is like I've got a trend system. I've got 6 trends on the Rockets tomorrow. Now, I like Golden State here in part because I'm at a point where I just think Houston is fundamentally a different team than it was 4 weeks ago. And I think it's a different team than it was 8 weeks ago. The team 8 weeks ago jumps up and down on this team's head. And the team 4 weeks ago jumps up and down on their head and then throws their lifeless body in a dumpster. This current Rockets team, I think, is probably going to struggle a little bit just because they're so out of sync, trying to figure out kind of who they are. And they just haven't really been able to get back to that identity. Now, maybe this is the game where that bounces back and they finish out strong. Because this is definitely a runway flu game where like the Warriors are all going to be checked out. They've got so much stuff going on back in the Bay. So I agree with you. I will go ahead and take +1.5 based off of the fact that on power rating, and again, after everything's out, like if Steph's out, this probably moves to like 4.5, maybe 3. If this is a halfway point, I'd be surprised. Right? This can't be that's one of the things a reason why you're getting I'm making all sorts of great points for you here. I'm making a great case for you in that the number here does not illustrate that this is a halfway mark. There's no way that at full strength the Rockets are, because if you think that this is Steph Curry might not play halfway number, there's no way. What is this, pick'em? No. Houston's not pick'em to Golden State at home. That's ridiculous. So I want the Rockets now.
Yeah, I had a feeling you were going to talk yourself into this, and to me, I think we're overcomplicating it, because Golden State is most likely, if you like the Rockets at all in this matchup, if you think the game, if everything was equal, would just simply be close. And that's kind of where I'm at with Houston. Houston being the home team, even though they haven't been a great cover at home, they're still a home team, and that still matters in the NBA. And the fact that Golden State isn't the home team is probably even the more valuable part than the fact that Houston is at home. If everything was equal, I think this is a close game. But if you take Steph and Jimmy off of this team, I don't know how you could want to back the Golden State Warriors. So part of the bet is that those guys don't play. And if they do, I don't hate where I'm at anyway. So that is definitely part of it. And look, I don't mean to completely crap on the whole idea of using trends. The reason why I explained it the way that I did is because we often only tell half of the story. I said Golden State's 33% against the spread on no rest. Houston's 40%. They're separated by one game.
Yeah.
One. So that it helps explain yourself, but does that actually, is it enough of an edge to say that's that should not be the reason you're on the Houston Rockets? It's just, it's a nice little salt and pepper on top of your cap.
I like it. Heat-Mavericks under 222. Tell me what you think on this one.
Yeah, so Miami just scored 8 points in a quarter. I was on the Buckets episode yesterday, and I gave out Heat team total under 102.5. Matt, this team had 93 points entering into the fourth quarter. I stopped paying attention to this. I was working the Magic game last night. I stopped focusing on it because I knew I already lost the bet. And then when I checked back into the betting account, I had more money than I had previously. How did this happen? I didn't put any more in there. The Heat scored 8 points in the fourth quarter. This team was playing so far above its head for 3 quarters. Their offense is brutal. They don't have three-point shooters. Over the last 10 games, they're 29th in the league in offensive rating. And now I'm asking them to go out on the road and put together a game where they score 100 points. I just don't see it. Dallas home games tilt towards the under over the course of the season. I'm not falling in love with any numbers I'm giving out on that, to go back to the conversation we just had about Houston, because I think if the bigs were healthy, that would back that up a little bit more realistically. If you could get somebody that shuts the water off for Bam Adebayo, but I'll take my chances. I'm not going to double back on the Heat team total under. I just think in general, I think the total's a little too high. I wouldn't be surprised if by the time we get up in the morning, this shifts by about 3 or 4 points.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. We'll see where kind of they get to. This season, the Miami Heat are 56. I have to do the reverse math in my head. They are 56.1% to the under on the road, and the Mavericks at home are 56.7% to the under at home. So you have a double home spot. So of course my projections make this an over, so I have to stay away from it, and I hate it, and I hate everything, and I hate life. But I think this is a good cap. I think that you're right with where that's at. That Dallas team is still going to be pretty good defensively. Like, they just are. Even without Gafford and even without AD and Lively, they're still going to be pretty good defensively because, like, they care about it. They're well schemed. Like, Kid's done a really good job of actually installing a pretty good scheme, and that team has still competed since the trade. You know, they didn't compete in that game versus the Cavaliers, but they were shocked after that game. Also, the Cavaliers have a nasty habit of just, like, jumping up and down on, if you are not like 100% ready to go, the Cavs are going to kill you. So I actually don't blame them much for that game after. And then since then, they've been really competitive. So I like this. I think defensively, you're in the right spot here. I like this as well. I will say I lean a little bit towards the Mavericks, but I'm going to stay away from it for a very specific reason, which is the same reason why I'm actually going to take the Thunder -6.5, and I am also going to take the Pelicans. But the reason for the Thunder is there's a great trend, and we're going to use it. We'll come back to it in a little bit, but I wanted to share it on this Thunder play. So I looked up All-Star Your next game, you have more than 5 days rest. So this is your last game before the break. It's in February, and you have 5 days of rest or more in your next game, and you're a favorite on the road. Road favorites in this spot right here since 2003 are 48-17 straight up for 74%, 34, 29, and 2 at 54% ATS above our margin for covering. Thunder, this is pretty simple. It's not like they got a lot of guys going to All-Star except Shea. They didn't get there's not like a whole bunch of guys going. This is not a team, and this is a team that's pretty locked in and focused. I'm going to bet that a lot of them are just going to stay around OKC and practice because they're so locked in, and that's how they do business. So I think that they'll take care of business here. I also don't like this matchup for the Wolves. They've got such wings capable of slowing down Anthony Edwards and slowing down Mike Conley that the interior kind of pressure, and even though they've got pretty good wings to throw out there and kind of maybe make this a muck it up game, OKC has shown consistently that they'll just turn you over, and Minnesota has a big problem with turnover still. That's been another weakness for them this season. So I like the Thunder laying 5.5 to 6.5, wherever you get in the market here versus the Timberwolves. What do you think?
Well, I mean, fading the Timberwolves just out of sheer embarrassment of what happened last night sounds like a good idea to me. They lost to the Milwaukee Bucks without Giannis and Damian Lillard.
Yeah.
Well, they lost to a team that had someone named Ryan Rollins in the starting lineup. Matt, I watch the NBA every night. I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I don't understand this. Kyle Kuzma had a nice game, but Minnesota is one of the tougher teams to figure out night to night in the league. And OKC is the exact opposite of that. So I'm with you. That trend that you gave out is superb. I'm going to have to play into that. That's
I'm going to
really
go against
good.
it with the Pelicans because of all teams I'm taking the Pels, but I'm going to back it here on the others. I also want to note this. Second night of a back-to-back. Road favorites. Your next game is after the All-Star break. So you're on the road. You're tired, but you just got to get through one more game and then you're done. 13-4 straight up, 77% against the spread, 10-7, 59% ATS. Also notably, those games were 11-6 to the over. Same trend for if they're not on a back-to-back. So like a lot of trends towards overs tomorrow as well with these teams in this spot.
Does that surprise you? Like when you just think about that psychologically, that you got all these days off.
Mm-hmm.
That offense would pop in that scenario and not that things would get sloppy to the point where, and sometimes sloppiness leads to points, but other times in this league, sloppiness leads to misses and teams just running back and forth.
When guys aren't focused, it means they don't buckle down on defense. They don't hustle back in transition, and especially they just play pickup. It's just up and down, pass, shoot, and it just gets very loose. Defense is what goes in the NBA when guys get tired. I kind of have compared it in the past to, it's like the snovers, right? Where in the snow in the NFL, there's the overs because of the inability of the cornerbacks to turn. It's kind of the same deal. When you're tired in the NBA, it's a lot harder to get around that screen. It's a lot harder to make that closeout. It's a lot harder to make that read. You're mentally checked out. You're not going to be checking. You're not going to be communicating as much because you're just want to get to this game. My wife has been nagging me about going on vacation. I got to pack. I get the kids. All those type of things. So I like the Oklahoma City Thunder here minus 6.5. I am going to take the Pelicans though. New Orleans. Look, New Orleans is not good. No, not disputing that. And the Kings took care of business against them the other night. But I do kind of like this spot for them in a specific duplex spot. I don't like it whenever a team is in this particular situation in New Orleans, like flying in here I know that they're on a back-to-back here. But whenever you're going back to New Orleans and you're distracted, they're probably going to hang out there overnight. That to me seems like a very good opportunity for you to kind of screw around and get a little messy here as things go on. I think that there's a good opportunity here for the Pelicans to kind of catch them. Kings took care of business tonight. They're going to go out tonight in New Orleans, and then they've got one more night. And that to me is just, that's a That's a different situation than being on the road in Minnesota. That's a much different situation. Yeah. So we're going to play the Bourbon Street Flu game here, and I'm going to take the Pelicans here for my last solo bet of the night here at plus 6.5 in the market. Thoughts?
I mean, this is where it's just it's a huge fucking waste of jet fuel that we're going. These two teams are playing each other back-to-back nights, and we're going from Sacramento across the country to New Orleans.
They're in New Orleans. That game was in New Orleans, wasn't it?
Oh, I'm sorry. I messed that up.
It's okay.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. All right. You know what? Forget it. We saved the jet fuel, and I'm happy about it. But the fact that you have a team that just lost, that is going for the bounce back. My only concern is Zion. He was the biggest contributing factor to any semblance of life for this Pelicans team. Do you think he plays the second night of a back-to-back?
No. Under no circumstances.
That has to matter here.
But you know what? They might also. I wouldn't be surprised if they gave Demonis off the night too. They might just rest Demonis. It's a road game for the Kings, right? It's harder to rest guys. They'll rest Zion, but it's hard to rest the rest of the guys at home. So that might even things out here. So I'll grab the 6.5. Do want to let you know that we mentioned at the top of the show we're coming to you from the Tommy John's home studios, and that's because great games, they start with great underwear, and Tommy John's makes the greatest. It is cold as balls in Colorado, just cold as balls, and so you need stuff that's going to keep you warm, and stuff like their underlayers, not only the underwear, the pants, the t-shirts. I use the t-shirts like a base layer when I start layering up with the sweaters and the hoodies and everything else. It's absolutely amazing. The stuff is so comfortable. It keeps you warm, but it's also breathable, so you're just going to be comfortable the whole day long. When you're truly comfortable, you do everything better, and that includes betting. So if you love the Buckets podcast and you love our crew, you're going to love Tommy John's. Get 25% off your first order right now at TommyJohn.com/buckets. That's 25% off at TommyJohn.com/buckets. And since we're talking about Tommy John, we got a Tommy John Ballsy parlay for you. And we're going to go with the Thunder, minus 230. We're going to go, I'm actually going to lay it with the Heat, even though I lean a little bit towards the Mavericks here at minus 120 because it's another road favorite. And then I'm going to take the Pelicans on the money line here at plus 210. Yes, I understand. That's the least likely to get home, but we're getting a really good number on it. That's plus 715. Thunder, Heat, Pelicans, money line. That's your Ballsy parlay of the night. All right, I think we hit everything, Kravitz. Appreciate you jumping on with me and doing he filled in last second for Jay Money. He'll be back with us later this week. Hope you guys are having a great week. Reminder, on Thursday, we will have a complete betting, or on Friday, rather, we'll have a complete betting preview for you for All-Star Weekend. I'm getting the guys on All-Star MVP and who's going to win this weird-ass tournament, and we'll do three-point contest and dunk contest, including Matt Mitchell's favorite cap on the three-point contest, which is who's going to hit the starry shots, which I hate because it has busted me twice on very good bets. We'll talk about all that this week and more. Thanks for joining us here on Ball Guy Express on Buckets. My thanks to David Payne, our producer. We'll see you guys again next time. Till then, let's get buckets.